What's up, Foxy People? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are creating images with multiple layers. As you all know, images come in either one color, two color, three colors. If you purchase an SVG or you find one for free perhaps, then it will automatically come with those different colors separated into different layers. But SVGs are kind of hard to find for free. Of course, you can buy a whole bunch on Etsy, but a lot of the times you find an image on Google or any other free site that you would prefer to use. And when you upload it in Design Space, it is all one layer because it is not an SVG. It's usually a JPEG or a PNG or one of those formats. It's not an SVG. Hey guys, Editing Mandy here. I just wanted to throw a disclaimer out, not even a disclaimer, but a little reminder that yes, there is a ton of videos on YouTube about how to turn an image into an SVG or a vector, they're called, using Photoshop or Adobe Print Shop or something like that. But I don't know all that stuff and I don't have time to learn all that stuff. So this is the way that I have learned to do this with only using Design Space. So hopefully that helps. So you can create your own SVG and separate those colors into different layers, but it is a bit of a process. And I asked on a couple of Facebook groups that I am a part of, and there is a ton of interest for this, and apparently it's really not common knowledge. So that is why I decided to make this video for you guys today. This is the image we are creating. See how it has about 4 or 5 different colors. And when I first found it on Google, as you will see, it was all just one image or one layer. So before I get into it, I do have to let you know it is a process. Like, there are quite a few steps involved, especially like the more colors, the more steps, and it's very repetitive. It seems really hard, but I promise you, once you actually do it, it's really not that hard. It's just, again, very repetitive. And I do have to give one other little disclaimer. When I was applying the decal, I need a new blade in my machine really, really bad. So the cuts were a little off. So when I was applying, the lines didn't add up perfectly. But this isn't a vinyl applying tutorial. It's a creating layers tutorial. If you need a tutorial on how to apply vinyl properly, then check out my other videos. So yeah, just wanted to get that out there, give you a warning. I know the final product might look a little wonky on the outlines, but you will get the basic idea of it with the steps on how we are creating these different layers. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay guys, so just starting with a new project. You can go here, you can go up here, you can go over here. I've showed this in my Design Space walkthrough. If you need to know, I'm not gonna touch base on, like, I'm not gonna go into detail on some of the things that I have previously touched on in other videos. I will link those down below and up in the cards though, whenever it comes up. So we are going to go to Google and find the image that we want. Let's say I saw someone in one of my groups asking about this one, so let's go with him. Actually, we don't want him because see on his hands there's like shading and stuff, and even right here there's like a little bit of white compared to the black. We don't want that. We kind of want like just solid colors. So here's a good one. Yeah, so we will save that one. And then in Cricut. We're gonna upload it. I always go with complex and continue, and then this is where we are going to separate our layers, because right now if you click preview you will see it's all one solid image. So if you wanted to do a silhouette, this would be perfect, or even print then cut, but we are working on layers today. So we'll start with the black. So the easiest way to do this is erase everything that is not black. Forget all the little details too. Oops. Now I accidentally touched the outline, so I'm just gonna go back and undo. Oh yeah, I'm keeping the black. Okay, now right here there's some writing, so we're gonna zoom in on it and we're just gonna erase it. Now, as you can see, there's still a little bit of red on the outline of these pants. That's okay, because watch, once you hit preview, it's just gonna make the black outline a little thicker. It's not that big of a deal. But like these letters, they are gonna make a little funky shape right there, right? So we're gonna just erase them. And then keep checking preview. Okay, that looks pretty good. So zoom back out. Do one last preview just to see if everything looks good. Looks good, doesn't look like I'm missing anything. So we are going to continue. Now this is saved as print then cut, but we're saving it as a cut image. So save that as a cut image. Again, you can add tags here and stuff, you don't need to. Okay, so there's my black image. So now we're gonna go back and do the next color. And you will repeat this step for the amount of colors that you have. So if you're just starting out, I would suggest to only start with maybe 2 or 3 colors. This is gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors. So this one is a little, I mean, it's not hard, it's just, it's gonna take a longer process, right? So now we're gonna get rid of all the black. And we're gonna just keep the white. So let's get rid of his face too, and his tongue, and his shorts, and his shoes. Oh. And zoom in, get rid of this little outline, as well as these outlines. Now, as you can see, we still got a little bit of a line, right? So when you go to preview, you're gonna see that line. Now some images will be a lot clearer for this, so you won't be left with that line. Unfortunately, some you do have to do a little bit of an extra step. So I just go in with the eraser, make it as big as possible, and just erase everything. Careful you don't go over what you need to keep though. So like I said, not all images, like this is definitely the most time consuming part, and not all images will even have this outline. So if yours doesn't, then perfect, just continue on to the next step. But I do like, in my videos, I do like to show any problems that may arise that you don't have answers to, so that way you will have the answer to it. Alright, so there's all my white spot parts. So I'm gonna continue on, save it, whatever, Mickey white. And then the next color. You're just gonna repeat these steps for every color. You know what, for the sake of this video, I'm gonna make his tongue red too. Just so that we don't have to do another color and another step. Okay, and I'm also gonna keep these black lines here. They're not going to be black. Like once I cut this layer of red, it will just make the red thicker. Like, see how it just makes it thicker? And then that way, when you're trying to layer it, you don't have to worry about being exactly in that hole, like in that space, because you will have a little leeway underneath, if that makes sense. Since all the yellow is down at the bottom, I'm just gonna go through and just erase everything. Nope, I'm gonna keep the yellow, or the lines on there as well, like those black lines. Like I said, it's just gonna make it one solid one, but then I can apply the black over top of the yellow and it will be a lot easier than trying to fit it into that space. And I mean, you really don't even have to delete or erase the entire outline, because as you can see when I hit preview, there's really only bits and pieces that show up. Like, it's not even the full outline, it's just these little pieces. But I do like to erase the whole thing, because the minute you click on here, the preview goes away anyways, and I'd rather not be left with any uncertainties. So yes, it is a little bit longer of a process, but at least I know I won't have to go back and fix anything. And these image names, like I said, I explained it in part 1, but like when you save it, it doesn't actually save the name. But if you were to go back into your images at a later point and wanted to find them, you could type up Mickey red, Mickey white, whatever the case is. So one last step that I do like to do, and not even just with vinyl, especially with larger than matte items, and that I like to give myself just a background, a solid background to layer everything on top of. And then that way, if there is slightly, like if one of the pieces are slightly put off, it's not as noticeable. So we are going to do that solid silhouette for that. So we're not going to do absolutely anything. We are going to continue and save it as a print and cut. Now see how it's a silhouette? This is kind of like a guideline I like. And you can actually print or cut this in black vinyl or paper, and you really don't even need to do that black line piece that we did. But I like to do a little bit of both, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so now that we have all of our pieces, we're gonna go in and insert them all. I'm not gonna use this piece just yet. Like I said, that's more or less for like paper cutouts or larger than matte. I just wanted to show you using it. I might upload it, we'll see. So we'll insert those. And we're gonna change all the colors. And just hide them until we're ready to use them. I'm going to bring this down to size a little bit just so that it fits on my computer screen. Then we can size it to the size we actually need once it's all attached together. So let's start with the face. And here you're just going to have to play around with it, see what fits. Remember, this black part is going to go on like above everything else, so we will end up using that back piece. But I'm going to size this to where you don't see any gaps. And this is where that back piece, that solid black, would work out better, because see right here there's just this tiny little gap. If we had that back black piece, which again, like I said, we will be using it, it would hide that those little perfections. But we're gonna add that at the end. So I think that's good enough for now. Let's move on to, oh, I gotta move the outline to the front. Okay, so yeah, we just resize it, that looks better. So let's move on to the white. Definitely the hardest part is resizing and trying to move the white without it moving the outline. So we'll move the white to the front just so it's more dominant, and then try and move it into position. I think that looks good. Let's move the outline back to the front just to make sure. This looks a little wonky for my liking. Everything else looks pretty good. And moving on to the red. When working on one piece, if you find that you keep accidentally hitting another piece when resizing it, just move that piece to the front while working on it, and then you can always move it back when you're done. Okay, let's move the outline back to the front, see if it covers our imperfections. It's still a little wonky right there, so we'll just right there too. So maybe we have to size it down. You just gotta play with it, see what looks right for you. You know what? I'm gonna leave it because these white dots I can move when I'm layering if I need to. Lastly, let's do some feet. Okay, so right now we're gonna attach all of these together, or not attach, if you attach, it's going to change it all to one color. So we just want to group. So then that way we can move it all together. So now we're going to go in and bring in that background. And I'm going to change it a color that I'll be able to see just while we're sizing it. Okay, so I sent it to the back. We can't see any glue, which is perfect. So we are going to change the color of this to black. Okay, and we're going to add it to this group. So select the group, hold down Command or Shift, depending on what computer you're using, and then group. So now we can move it all together. So now we need to find out the space that we are going to need. So I'm going to put it on a picture frame, and I only want it to just the corner of it. So I'm going to measure the picture frame, measure the size that I need. Let's do 4. So I'm going to, up here, I'm going to bring it down. I know I want it to be 4 inches high. So now it changed the size of all of my pieces all at once. All right. And then I always suggest to save the project before moving on. Always save in the middle of the project, especially if it's something like this where there's a lot of steps. You would hate for something to happen in your computer crash or design space to crash, and you would have to start all over again. So get in the habit of saving every couple steps or wherever you feel comfortable. So now we're going to make it. Okay, so as you can see, everything is put onto the different colored mats because the software, Design Space, is taught or is programmed to think that only one color of vinyl or paper, whatever material you're using, can fit on each mat. But like that is a little tiny piece. I'm not going to waste a full sheet of vinyl on this, and I'm not going to waste my time putting the vinyl on the mat for each little step. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to cut all of our pieces on one mat. So we're going to put all of our pieces on here. They'll still be the different colors, but let me show you how that works. So I'm going to move this over just slightly. So now all the black is going to be cut 7 to 5. That's the piece of black I'm going to cut out, is 7 to 5. And I do like to keep a little gap before putting in the next color. So on the white here, we're just going to hit these 3 little dots, go to Move Object, and you can pick which mat you want to move it to. So we're going to go with the black one. Now as you can see, it did change the color of it, but I know we're going to cut it in white. So then over in here, I'll cut a 3 by 3 piece of white vinyl and stick it up here in the corner. So now the red, we're going to do the same thing with all of them. Move Object, move it to the black, and move it down. So like I said, I like to keep a gap in between each color. So if I'm going to cut the black to 5, that means this red can't start until 6. So I'm just going to keep it in the middle. I like to keep a little barrier around the edge just in case my machine needs to be calibrated or my blade is a little off. I don't want, like, because right here is the tongue, so I don't want that right on the line. So I'm going to put that one right in the middle there. And then we move on to his face. New object, black. And that one. So if I'm going to cut this vinyl to this line, which is 2, that means this one can't start till 3. So again, I'm going to put it in the center. And lastly, the feet. So this is going to work out to be a much easier process. So now instead of cutting 5 different mats and wasting a full sheet of vinyl or even cutting it down to size but having to load and unload the mat 5 times, I'm only going to have to cut 1 mat, and I will just cut the vinyl down to size to fit this. So then we go to continue and send it to our mat. As you can see right here, now it's only showing the 1 mat. It's only going to cut the 1 mat because the other mats have nothing on them. So because the pieces are so small, I'm going to look through my scrapbooks first instead of wasting a full sheet of vinyl. I know I have small enough pieces that will fit these 2-inch pieces. So I highly suggest looking through your scraps first instead of wasting a full sheet of vinyl. I know the black, I didn't have enough scraps, so I did have to go a different route. But this is why I always suggest to save your scraps. You never know when they'll come in handy. And of course, you still will have to cut them down to size, most likely. So here, I didn't have any black vinyl, to be honest. So I'm using the brown, and in the finished product, you'll see I actually had to change to blue. And then referencing back to where I put them on the mat for the cut screen, I'm going to place my pieces of vinyl here. So like I said, it can cut everything on 1 mat and not have to worry about loading multiple mats. Now I'm just going to go in and weed everything. If you need a tutorial on this, check out my other videos, but I'm not going to go into detail here. Now before applying any vinyl, you should always wipe down the surface with rubbing alcohol to get any debris, dust, fingerprints, oils, that kind of stuff off, and it will help your vinyl stick better and last longer. Now yes, I know you could do this with transfer tape, but the pieces were big enough for me, I found, that I could just apply them this way. But of course, do whatever you feel comfortable with. Like I said, there is another vinyl application tutorial that I show you how I use transfer tape to do this kind of thing. But on this video, I was just placing them where I needed to put them. Because like I said, this is not a applying tutorial, it was just the layers. Now here I will use transfer tape for this because they had very thin lines. And actually my transfer tape, I always use painter's tape or masking tape. And there's the final product. Alright guys, there you have it. Hopefully that was easy to follow along with, and hopefully you learned everything you needed to know. Again, I know it looks complicated, but I promise, just go out and try. I suggest starting with 2, max 3 layers, 3 colors to start with, just so that you get the hang of it. And then the more you do it, then you can incorporate more colors, colored images, colored layers, more layers, whatever. You get the point. So start small, get comfortable with it, and then you can move on. So I really hope that helped. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comments below, or if there's a specific tutorial you're looking for, let me know and I will whip something up for you. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel because I have Cricut tutorial ideas coming out of my ears. I have so many ideas, that I need to get the videos done for. So I have a lot in store. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell notification to get notified every time I do post a new video. If this is the kind of content that you enjoy, please give this video a big thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.